If you have ever used a wacky worm to catch bass, you know this feeling. You grab yourself a new worm out of the package, rig it up wacky style, and before you know it, you've caught a fish or two. The problem? Your Senko is torn in half. And for me, the solution to the torn in half wacky worm problem is not the old trusty wacky O-ring tool, it's something a little bit different. Your eyes did not deceive you. I am using a ballpoint pen's spring to help secure the hook in my wacky worm to stop wasting money. Now, is this truly a money saver or is it a time waster? My name's Tyler, and let's talk about it. Another giant. Look at that, y'all. I can't believe what I just caught. Yes! Well, what's going on, folks, and welcome back to TRF. My goal here on this channel is to help you guys become better anglers and catch more fish. So if you're all about that, hit the subscribe button. I think as bass anglers, we've got to be good at tinkering with our tackle to find not only better ways to catch fish, but also better ways to save money on our lures, because this stuff's getting expensive nowadays. The number one tool that people use to help their wacky rigs last longer is the O-ring tool. But personally, I don't like it, and let me explain why. I've always had a really bad landing ratio when it comes to using the wacky O-ring tool on my wacky worms, and I think the reason is because when you slide this thing on there, there's really only one way your hook can face, and that is right down the worm, parallel. For the most part, when a bass eats a wacky worm, it sucks it in from the middle, where the two ends kind of get folded into the fish's mouth. And so if you have your hook parallel to that worm, you're gonna hook the fish in either side of the mouth. And in my experience, that is the worst place to hook a fish because that's the easiest place for them to shake their mouths, get the most momentum to get your wacky worm out of their mouth. And I know that not everybody has had the same experiences with the wacky worm that I have, and so if you like the wacky O-ring tool and it works for you, you're landing fish, by all means keep doing this. But I wanted to try something new today. Enter the ballpoint pen spring, at least cut down. This little stainless steel screw is awesome because if you cut it to the width of the worm, you can screw it in like I showed you guys, and then you have a perfectly circular area to rig your hook through. That way it can still be perpendicular inside your wacky worm, but it has a little bit of something to grab onto that worm to give it more resistance. That way it can't rip out so easily. But of course, this video would not be complete if we didn't at least try to do some kind of scientific testing to see if the tiny ballpoint pen spring inside your wacky worm truly helps the worm stay together and not tear as easily. So let's hop on the water real quick and do a test between the standard wacky rig and a wacky rig with the ballpoint spring. All right, so I think the only way to do this truly scientifically is to have a control group here that doesn't change and one that does. So here we have a standard 5-inch Strike King Ocho stickworm rigged wacky rig with no O-ring, no screws, no springs, nothing to help it stay together. And we're gonna compare that in durability fashion to this one right here that has the old ballpoint spring inside of it. And the way that I'm going to compare durability on these two is by fishing each one until they fall apart. Whichever one lasts longer is the winner. And I think we're about to see here in the next few minutes if the spring actually helps you save money on your wacky worms. Let's go. There we go. Boom. First fish on the standard wacky rig. Let me power pull down as I show you guys what has happened. That this is a huge problem that I think leads to why it breaks in half so much, is because somehow the hook, which is in the fish's mouth, has made the bait slide all the way up the line. So again, that is gonna cause a problem when re-rigging it. Thank you, Mr. Fish. Because now I'm gonna have to slide this worm down the line, which causes abrasion on the worm, and then poke the hook back through the middle as close as I can to where the hole currently is. And again, that just starts to slowly tear it apart. But we're gonna re-rig it here right through the middle. All right, it has survived one fish. Oh my gracious, I cannot cast. Oh, there's one. Hey. Fish number 2 is an angry boy. Come on now. Come on in here, let's get away from the dock. Get up in here, yes, a little bit bigger. And once again, the worm has slid up the line. So frustrating. Because every time that happens, I've got to re-rig the worm, which inevitably in the center causes some kind of tear. Here we go, slide the worm back down, and I can already tell it is already starting to tear. Not looking good for old traditional. Rig it down the middle. All right, let's go. There's one, there we go. Oh, what a jump. What an absolute jumper right there. We have found us some fish. This will be number 3 on the traditional. Oh, and is my worm totally gone? It looks like my worm is gone, but we will see here in a second. Bring it up, yes, wow. Absolute chunky 2.5 pounder right there. But as you can tell, worm is gone. So I guess all it took was 3 fish and a little bit of fishing to get that worm to split right down the middle enough that it is a goner. So we're gonna let this fish go and get on to the one with the spring to see if that lasts any longer. We've now got the wacky worm with the spring inside of it. Let's see how long it lasts. Oh gosh. We're good. There's one. There's one. Oh, lost him. Does that count as a fish though? To test the overall durability, should I count that? I don't know, we'll find out. No, there was a bite. Yep, that's a fish. That's a fish. Get away from the propeller, please. Get away from the prop. All right, I'm gonna land you this time, my friend. You are a hardy fish. My gosh, why are you fighting so hard? Gee. Power pull down and bring him in. Okay, first fish landed on the ballpoint pen at Wacky Worm, and it stayed in the mouth. It has not slid up the line, which of course should lead to more durability. Beautiful fish. And now we're up to, I'm gonna call it 1.5 on this worm. Got one, got one. 2 out of the same dock. Let's go. Bring it in, bring it in. Okay, well, you know what? This one did slide up the line, so maybe it doesn't totally solve that problem. He ate it just like I told you he would, like with his mouth eating the middle of the worm, and I hooked him in the top roof right there. In my experience, the better hookup ratio is up there, not on the side, and I got him in. Honestly, kind of bummed the spring doesn't totally eliminate that problem, but that's okay. Rig it right through the middle and back to work. Ooh. I'll tell you what though, folks, this worm has taken a beating across the last, 5 to 6 docks that I've fished, and is still looking pretty strong. It's developed a tiny hole right where the hook goes in, but besides that, it's still hanging nice and connected in the middle of the wacky worm. Yeah, but I mean, again, oh no. I lost my worm at 2.5. It hit a dock and popped off. Well, let's do it again. There's one. Oh, popped off. I know that was a bass. I saw him eat it, so we're gonna count that as 1/2. He did. Oh, he did. That's gonna be 3/4. And it's got a fish too. It's got a fish on the skip. Hey, hey. All right. Oh. What the heck? The standard worm this time is getting off easy. There's one. There's one. Gosh, feels a little bit bigger. At least fighting harder. It's not that much bigger, but we'll take him. Bring him up in here. Oh my goodness. The worm is gone. So losing our worm on this fish right here leaves us at 2 1/4 fish on this one. Let's go back to the pen spring. Hopefully y'all can see that. Me screwing it in right there. I'd say that right there is in the center. There's one. There's one. Get around the dock, please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bring it in. Bring it in. Let's go. All right. It slid up the line, but that's okay. As the Grinch says, that's what these tests are for. There we go. There's one. Tiny little squirt. But that's 2 on the spring. Top of the mouth. Exactly where you want them. See ya. Once again, though, it did poke through, so this doesn't solve that problem. There's one. Yeah. Oh, gosh dang it. Popped off. This is why I like a bait caster. I can set the hook harder. I'm not vibing with the spinning rod, not gonna lie. But that was a nice bass, and that's 3 fish total. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, there's one. There's a nice one. Bring it in here, buddy. I'm gonna power pull down. Flip, yes. This right here is fish number 4 on the ballpoint pen spring worm. And once again, that's exactly where you wanna hook them. You can't really see it. There it is, top of the mouth. Oh yes, absolute giant. Look at this big end. He was hooked good. Thank you, friend. Number 5. There we go. There we go, way under there. Way the heck under there. Bring him in, yes. 6. This is what I call an ice cream cone bass. Single scoop. There's one. Yes, sir, nice one. Nice one, get in here, buddy. Ate it as I was pulling it up. Beautiful. Killer. Let's go. Oh, worm came off. And actually, it broke in half. Honestly, don't even know where the spring went because it's not on the line. It's not on the hook here. But I would say 6 fish on one of these things. It's pretty good. So the lab coat is off and the results are in. Now, can we really have a for sure answer on the ballpoint pen spring Senko versus the traditional after just 2 tests? I'm not sure about that. Probably takes quite a few more to be totally scientific. But it is undeniable that after an average of the first 2 tests, the traditional Wacky worm is not nearly as durable as the one with the ballpoint pen spring. But the question still remains, is this right here the money-saving hack that you need if you love to fish with a Wacky worm? My answer? Honestly, I don't know. But if you love to fish with a Wacky worm, this is definitely something you're gonna wanna try. If y'all enjoyed this tackle comparison video, I think you'd love one that I made where I compared the worm in bass fishing to the jig to find out which one is better for catching bass up shallow. So I'll leave that video linked right up here in this corner. You guys will learn a ton in that video as well. As always, it's a pleasure to teach you guys how to catch more fish, and we'll see you guys over in that video.